You know something? Clarifying values is not difficult. What is difficult is facing up to them.
Hello, I'm Bo Stjerne Thomsen. I am the chair of Learning Through Play at the Lego Foundation, and you are listening to the ED Show.
Welcome to that show, a podcast where I sit with some amazing personalities from across sectors and borders to have meaningful conversation on topics that matters to us. Welcome back. My guest for the day is someone who loves to empower our youth. He is an educator, a business consultant, a best-selling author who has strongly impacted millions of lives. He even left a mark in my life that I am and I will keep on cherishing throughout my journey. His words, winners don't do different things, they do things differently, are still working as a guiding light for many. His wisdom and book will keep on inspiring our current and our forthcoming generations. He is someone whose books have touched more than 80 million lives across countries and continents in various languages. He is Shiv Khera. Hi Shiv, welcome on the show.
Thank you.
Shiv, I would love to know about your journey of authoring You Can Win and the struggles or challenges you have come across while writing this book. And certainly would love to know about its success story.
Well, I think it's quite a contrast from what my background has been. I've never been good in academics in school. I was a backbencher troubling the front benchers in my eighth grade out of six or seven subjects. I failed in all except one, so my principal called and said she was paying too much attention on one subject. And in my 10th grade, I failed. I had 2 years in there. And interestingly, till I got married, which I got married about 22, I was 22 and a half. Till then, I had never read a book in my life. And I had only read comics going back. But see, we had coal mines when they got nationalized. We came on the street literally. My father had died when I was in college, so we had nothing left. And I remember a year later, my daughter was born, and I sold some of the last piece of my mother's jewelry to get released from the hospital. Did not have $10 to buy milk. I tried my hands on three businesses with no money, and I failed in all three. Finally, November 30, 1975, I left India, went to US, initially went to Toronto. And we were sleeping on the floor, started life with a bucket in my hand, washing cars door to door for about a year and a half to 2 years. And then daytime I was washing cars, evening I was selling vacuum cleaners door to door. And then totally by accident, I got into selling life insurance. And within a matter of 3 months, I was about to be fired by a manager. Now, from this point onwards, how my life and the journey changed. I attended a program by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the man who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking. There were 1,000 people, I was one of them. That day, I realized that problem is a sign of life. Problem is a sign of life. And so long as we are alive, we shall have problems. The day we don't have problem, we'd be dead. Now, important thing is, till then, I was failing all my life and kept blaming the whole world for my failure, not realizing that I was my own biggest problem. Nothing changed outside. Something changed inside, and the direction in my life changed. Now, from that point onwards, my output, productivity, everything changed. I started hitting $1 million sales and moved on to the US, got into three businesses. I bought out a company out of California in 1984, started a New Jersey operation with no clients, and I sold my company with close to 500 clients for a decent sum. Now, why do I share my life with you, Himannshu? Very, very important reason, and that is, as I said, I kept failing all my life and kept blaming the whole world for my failure, not realizing that I was my own biggest problem. Nothing changed outside, but something changed inside, and the direction in my life changed. Now, very important learning that was there while selling life insurance. That is the time I realized that there are more people in this world who are unemployed than people who want to work today. There are more people who don't want to work today than there are people who are unemployed. Sadly, that is true. And that is where I learned the difference between making money versus earning money. You see, we were on commission and we would not get paid till we had output productivity and produced something. But there were many people on salaries who were not doing their job. And that is the time I realized that this is the difference between making money versus earning money. Making money is criminal, earning money is spiritual. And when I saw them not doing the job, I realized wages without work amounts to stealing. And today, there are more people who want to make money, very few want to earn money. Now, what is the difference here? When you earn money, you put your energy and your ethics behind it. And that is the key. Now, this is in a nutshell my life for the past 45 years. But the most important thing that was, and that came in my book, I have mentioned that if you want to stand out, you need to do something outstanding. But when people see a story like mine and they see me today, you know what people say? Must be lucky, must be at the right place at the right time. So now let me connect with my book, what I was about to say. See, in my book, I have written if you want to stand out, you need to do something outstanding. What does that mean? There are people who say, I want to have an extraordinary income. I want to have extraordinary life. I want to have extraordinary success. And when people look at people like you or me or somewhere, they say, must be lucky, must be at the right place at the right time. Now, this is incomplete sentence. In my book, I have written that look, not only you need to be at the right place at the right time, but you need to be the right person at the right place at the right time. And if you're not the right person, you could still be at the right place and the right time and do nothing in life. And still, this is incomplete. Not only do we need to be the right person at the right place at the right time, but we also need to do the right thing at that time. Now, if you are the right person, right place at the right time, and you don't do the right thing, you get nothing in life. So sadly, most people, when they want something in life, they need to ask when they say, I want to have an extraordinary income. Man, ask yourself, are you an extraordinary person? Do you have extraordinary integrity in life? Do you have extraordinary commitments in life? Are you willing to work extraordinarily hard in life? Do you have extraordinary relationships in life? If you don't have any of these things, you cannot get anything in this world.
Shiv, I'm such in awe with the kind of humble beginning you had and the way you have succeeded in your life. And trust me, the lines in You Can Win, winners don't do different things, they do things differently, have actually impacted my life. And I believe that these lines have impacted millions of other lives. And when I read the book, I was not just awestruck, but I felt a sense of purpose. And today, when I see kids who are more mature than how we used to be when we were of the same age, I understand that the times have changed. But one thing which is still the same is the herd mentality of our parents, as they still want their kids to score high marks and many a times pressurize them to pursue the same old career streams such as engineering, MBBS, or MBA. Now, with the change in times, how do you feel we should change this herd mentality, and how do you feel that we should nurture the winning attitude in our pupil?
Well, Himanshu, I am quite involved, just like you, with the youth. And when we say they are mature, see, I would write to the word maturity means, I would add the word, I would say maturity means wisdom. Wisdom. And I would be hesitant to say that they're wise. I wouldn't say they're wise. I'm not saying that the parents are also on track, that they want to have their kids follow the same track forever for the last 50 years. That's not it. But I think that today's kids are much more tech savvy. Now, if you call them that is maturity, I don't call it maturity. Today, the relationships have been broken much more than it was earlier. And the amount of drugs and depression that is there today, it was never there like this before. Yeah, in between there were spikes like that. I mean, go check out in the US, almost 25% people are likely to take depression. I just did a program for the medical doctors and I checked up. And they said, well, you know something, over 25% of medical doctors are on depression. And not only that, 17% have thought of taking their life. So when we use the word mature, they're more mature. Have a big question. They're tech savvy, all right. See, that is all. They have learned to how to make a living, but how to live is a big question. They're breaking down today. I mean, look at the divorce rate. And today, you know what relationships are all about? You see, love at first sight, divorce at first fight. Interesting. Love at first sight, divorce at first fight. So what is the matter? There is so much of loneliness, depression, all and drugs, and this is ruining people's lives. And if this is what we call maturity, I think that's really not it.
Now, Shiv, this is just one side of the story. And the other side is that there are kids who believe that they have found the purpose
Yeah.
and they want to pursue their passion. They
Yeah.
actually want to pursue their dreams. I remember that I have not seen this thing during my growing up days, that we never had so much information about how to pursue our career in different artistic forms or in different professions. But today, kids are actually taking their passion
Correct.
forward.
Well, I agree with you. They are, that is what they are being told, follow your passion. Everywhere they hear follow your passion. And I was addressing the large college, in fact, the IITs in Bombay, and everywhere they said passion, 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 passion. So I asked one person, tell me what's your passion? And interestingly, Himanshu, one guy said, Mr. Khera, I like pizzas and I enjoy pizzas. I really love pizzas. I can live on pizzas and I cannot live without a pizzas. And then he says, well, pizza must be my passion. And the guy says, well, I'm going to open up a pizza store and a chain of pizza stores. I said, okay. And the guy borrows money all over from dad, wherever he can, and starts a pizza shop and then fails. You know something? Is this how you figure out what's your passion? Man, that's your taste buds. That is your taste buds. Well, tomorrow you say, well, I like donuts and I can't live without donuts. Okay, that donut is my passion. So I want to open up a donut shop. You know something? They have totally misplaced the meaning of the word passion. Passion is an emotion. Repeat, passion is an emotion. Now, how do we define and figure out a passion? Passion is something that I would do for money and I would do for no money.
True.
You see, bottom line is no
Mhm.
wonder more than 95% of businesses fail within 1 year and more than that. I mean, this is global.
Absolutely.
And even in the US, I mean, more than 90% businesses fail within first 5 years anyway. So there's nothing wrong. People need to understand that entrepreneurship is much more than just taking a risk. Many people gamble, they don't understand the difference between the risk taking and gambling. You see, a trained mountain climber wants to go to the Everest, he's taking a risk. Untrained guy wants to go to the Everest, he's gambling. So they have heard the words and they're jumping with those words, not realizing the true meaning of it. So we need to really understand where we are. We need to prepare. And many times people ask me, Mr. Khera, what advice would you give to a startup? Because startup has become a buzzword. Startup, 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 entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship. You see, there are many people who were entrepreneurs and they sold their business and they're taking jobs. They said, I can't handle it. It's difficult for me to do it. Now, I'm not saying that, but my only thing is that people ask, what is one advice you would give for a startup? And my answer to them is start small, think big. Reason, you are a management consultant. I said, start small, think big, but start small. Why is that? There is no person in the world, whenever they start up anything, we all make mistakes. Everybody makes a mistake. Now, if you start big, your mistake will be big and you will not be able to sustain. You will be packed up. You'll be out of business totally. You will not be able to recover. But if you start small, your mistake will be small too.
Absolutely.
And you made a small mistake. Now that is behind you. Once you learn from it, now scale up. Now jack up. So don't start big. Start small and think big. Then you scale up.
Don't you think that the way startup ecosystem is mushrooming around the world, in this sector, one of the biggest culprit is the way we are nurturing our kids. As in one hand, we have our entire education ecosystem which revolves around covering what's in the syllabus and not in nurturing the people in a way that they take care of their lives and they decide what they want to be in life and work on that. Don't you feel that the first step of nurturing leadership is to allow them to take control of their lives?
Yeah, you see, the first we need to define what do we want to be. You see, Himanshu, I come from the old school. I hear so many parents telling their kids, do what feels good. Do what feels. This is the advice people, parents give to the kids. Do what feels good. And the old school that I come from, we learned that feeling good is a natural outcome of doing good. And doing good is a natural outcome of being good. You are good, you do good, you feel good. How can you feel good when you don't do good? Now, the next question, is there something called good and bad? Is there something called good and bad? Answer is yes. But you see, when we do our programs, we talk of values. And when we get to values, many times people ask me, Mr. Khera, you are saying there are some rights and wrongs in this world. I said, yes. But then they come back to me and they say, well, haven't you heard the statement which says nothing is right or wrong? Your thinking makes it so. Who said that? Shakespeare. And they said, Mr. Khera, you are contradicting Shakespeare. I said, so what? I disagree with Shakespeare. That's all. See, when people say that values keep changing from person to person, situation to situation, well, they have no values. They have no values. Now, when you say nothing is right or wrong and everything is subjective, then every criminal in this world should be released from the jail. Who says they are wrong? You say they are wrong? They didn't think so. Go keep arguing. Then, if there are no rights and wrongs in this world, then Hitler was totally right.
Hmm.
Who said he was wrong? You say he was wrong. He didn't think so. Go keep arguing. Don't get me wrong. There are some gray areas, yet there are some very clear areas. Now, question is, Himanshu, that see, whatever profession business that you and I are, don't we have quality standards and benchmarks? Answer is yes. If we did not have them, could we ever achieve them? Answer is no. So, unless we have universal and eternal benchmarks on values and ethics, how can we achieve them? So, now the big question comes, when we talk of values, we're not talking your values and my values. We are talking of universal and eternal values. Universal means they cross country, cross culture, cross religion. That's called universal. Eternal means they were here before we came and they will be here after we are gone. Now, how do we establish universal benchmarks? Let me share with you one little story. Then I'll ask you and all the listeners this question. See, there was an elderly lady with two bags of groceries in her hands waiting for a bus.
Mhm.
Right behind her was a big boy also waiting for the bus. The bus came. They both got on the platform, and the bus was totally packed. But there was only one seat available at the far end, and the elderly lady started moving to get that seat. Now, this big boy came from behind, threw his big arm around the lady, took a big step and a big step and took that seat. Now, the elderly lady fell on a few people's lap. Her bags of grocery got scattered. She was lying on the floor, totally helpless. Now, there were many passengers in the bus. One of them was a sophisticated lady. She started thinking, how clumsy of this boy. She's looking at the etiquette, the manners. There's a lawyer in the bus who thinks there must be a law against this kind of behavior. He's looking from a legal perspective. There's a surgeon in the bus who thinks this lady must have broken 3 ribs. He's looking from a surgical perspective. And the fourth person was a psychiatrist. He thinks this boy is psychotic, he needs mental help. Now look at this. 4 people thinking 4 different ways. Not one of them, so-called educated people, asked this question, was this behavior right or wrong? Why don't we ask that question? Because when we ask that question, we become judgmental. Now, let me ask you, if your values are clear, what is wrong in being judgmental? Now, I have 2 questions. Number one, should this boy have behaved like this with this lady? Answer is no. 2, should anyone behave like this with anybody? Answer is no. The moment you answer no to the second question, that is called universal benchmark. You established. Should anyone behave like this with anybody? You said no. That's a universal benchmark. You know something? Himannshu, clarifying values is not difficult. What is difficult is facing up to them after clarifying. And so we choose not to clarify, remain confused. We'll never have to face up to them. I share with you, clarifying values is not difficult at all. Are you aware that every doctor in this world who graduates has to take an oath of Hippocrates? Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
How old is that oath? 2,000 years old. Have you ever seen that, read that oath? It is less than 1 page. And if you read that oath carefully, do you need any more values than that one? You don't. You see, every lawyer that graduates, are you aware that they have to take an oath of code of conduct? Have you read that oath? Probably a page. Do you need any more of that? Every civil servant, every diplomat that you do training for, every politician, you know something? Every judge, they all have to take an oath. Have you read that oath? It's 5 lines. Do you need any more values than that? You know something? Clarifying values is not difficult. What is difficult is facing up to them. So it is easy to say I'm confused, or difficult to clarify values, or values are subjective. This is, in my opinion, rubbish. Absolutely. They are excuses for not adhering to values in life, and that's all.
I agree that you must own up to your values. But at the same time, what I have seen in today's scenario is that it is rather difficult for a child to get values. The kind of ecosystem in which we grew up, at that time, our parents were our key enablers for instilling values in us. And when we see today's parents and even educators, they are only concerned about materialism. How do you feel that they should instill values in our younger generation?
Well, just think about it. The answer lies in the question you just put in. How did the previous generation instill values in their kids? How did they do it? Well, there was somebody at home
Mhm.
who was not going through a popularity contest. They were not pleasing everybody. And they did not even have a problem in giving a slap to other kids. And I've had 3 slaps from my parents. So I had no problem with that either.
Mhm.
Now, and you say, well, it's difficult to instill values. Answer is no, it's not. In fact,
Mm.
many studies have shown, including Stanford University, that which is called a marshmallow study, I'm sure you are familiar with. Uh, by the age of 4, a child's attitude is more or less fixed. By the age of 14, 90% of their values are fixed. So tell me, by and large, till the age of 4, parent is the only teacher. They have not even gone outside into the school. There's no peer pressure. They have not even gone outside. Parent up to the age of 4, by and large, Of course, now there's schools you can put the kids into age 2 years, 3 years, and so on. Don't get me wrong. But still, I will maintain this, that by and large, the parent is the only teacher till the age of 4. You are totally in control of the whole situation. And if you have not taught the right values by then or the right attitude, well, it'll be difficult. You tell me, when a child is 12 and goes into 13th birthday, is a big celebration. Now you become a teenager. Tell me. And all of a sudden, you find his behavior changes, whatever happens outside. Tell me, did that happen overnight, midnight, 12 o'clock? No, no, no. What he behaves 13 in the year 13 is the result of the last 12 years, what he learned.
Absolutely.
Nothing happens. Same thing when the kid or becomes 18, does say something, oh, I have become an adult, I can vote now. Okay, so what? Has something changed overnight, 12 o'clock, midnight? No. The behavior is totally a reflection of 17 years of what you did. So my point is that to answer your question on this one, many times schools, colleges invite me to address Founders Day, chief guest, whatever, and parents talk to me and they say, Mr. Khera, talk to our kids. The values are messed up, the discipline is messed up. I said, no, no, they're not messed up. Parents are messed up. Where do you think they learned all that stuff? Yes, granted, I accept that today there are multiple outside influences such as the TV, the computer, and so on. I'll give you one clear example. None of us, at least I can talk myself, we are not 24 karat pure. I am not 24 karat pure. And when we were growing, 10th grades and 11th grades and 12th grades, we also wanted to see the Playboy magazine. If you remember, Playboy magazine was a big thing. Playboy, Playboy, Playboy. Now, you see, to get a Playboy, we had to drive 20 miles away to get one Playboy. And if you got one, the whole class used to watch that Playboy, that magazine, all your kids. But you had to go out of your way 20 miles to get one Playboy if you could. But today, to watch that stuff, you have to go nowhere, turn the computer and bang, it comes on your face. It has come on your face right now. You have to make effort to get rid of it. Do you see the difference? There is a major difference, but still, see, the important thing was that parents still need to instill the right values. They need to walk their talk. They need to explain. And most important thing is, let me ask you, does a 4-year-old have the same maturity of a 40-year-old? Answer is a big no. They don't. And sometimes you can all tell the kid all the no you want, they still don't understand. Sometimes they just don't understand. Why does the sun come out of the east? I don't know why. When you go to a doctor and the doctor looks at your profile and your blood profile and says, buddy, you got malaria. Do you say, why? No, because the doctor knows more than you do, that's why. He's qualified medical doctor, practicing for the last 20 years, and he's been through medical school. Because he knows more than you do, that's why. And sometimes a 40-year-old kid doesn't know more than 40-year-old. So sometimes the only answer is, because I say so. And that's it. You see, today a kid goes to dad and says, Dad, can I buy this? Can I go to the movie? Do you remember when we used to went to our parents and said, Dad, can I buy this? Can I go to the movies? They said no. And when they said no, they meant no, and you didn't have the guts to ask a second time. But today, kids go to the parents, can I go to the movies? Can I buy this? Oh, parents say, yeah, go ahead, do it. And go ahead. Every time is yes. And if perchance the parent said no, the kid indignantly looks at the parent's eyes and say, why? You explain the first why, they ask to shoot the second why. You explain the second why, they shoot the third why, and the fourth why, and the fifth why, and sixth why. Till the seventh why, the parents say, all right, gets fed up, say, okay, go. You wonder who's the parent, who's controlling who. Man, this 40-year-old is controlling the 40-year-old. Is that the way it is? Sometimes, if the kid doesn't understand, the right answer is because I say so and shut up. Keep in mind, Himanshu, people who have never learned to obey can never learn to command. I repeat, this is very important. Those who have never learned to obey can never learn to command. This is crucial. We need to understand. We need to readjust our bringing up our kids, and that's important.
Well, Shiv, I agree that a 4-year kid may not have a level of maturity that a 40-year-old may have. But at the same time, the level of creativity that a 4-year-old have, even a 40-year-old may not have.
Of course,
Don't you feel that we should instill creativity in our pupil, as it may also enable them to establish their careers even at a younger age, provided that they have a neck off for the respective profession? And not just about career, creativity may even allow them to take control of their own lives.
I totally agree with you. And you keep bringing the word creativity. Now, you see, creativity is multiple things. The guy knows a lot. There's a lot of information that they have which we never had. So obviously, the the mind is processing a lot more. The processor inside the subconscious mind, and therefore now they can create a lot of things because they have a lot of information which we never had in our life. But and let them utilize that creativity there, and that's great. My only thing is that what's going to keep what is going to take this kid up in life? Is it only that one talent and that's about it? I look at it, that is your skill set. I repeat, that is your skill set, and that will help you develop a skill set. Maybe the guy wants to do music, maybe the guy wants to go into sports, and maybe the guy is a genius in his computers. There are geniuses for 5, 7, 10 years old geniuses. I mean, amazing. I've seen that on the television, but that's great. My point is, two elements. Is that going to help him live a good life for the rest of his life? Answer, maybe not. Maybe he'll make a great living, but so what? My point I'm trying to make is two things that'll stay with him for the rest of his life is one, his attitude, and two, his values.
I'm actually talking about the same thing. When I'm talking about creativity, I'm not just talking about the prodigies that we have. My point is that can we use creativity in any form to instill values or value system in our pupil?
Of course, we can. In fact, there are many, many programs now which they are trying to show maths, and they're teaching multiple things, and everywhere they're bringing attitude and values and inculcating them in between. So you can do that. But those are all curriculums and academics. My only thing is that a teacher or a principal or a parent can teach all the academics and teach the values through the academics. But if they are not good role models at home, what is the kid going to learn? Zero. So sadly, the parents are not practicing what they're preaching, and they have double standards. So they lie through their teeth. This is what,
Hmm.
look, I'll share with you an example. I'm not just throwing these things at here, but Gallup did a survey which said 63% of people who go to work are disengaged. 63% means
Absolutely.
they don't do their job. And additional 24% are actively disengaged, which means they also make sure that others also don't do their job. That means only 13% of people who go to work actually do work. Can you imagine only this is Gallup survey, global survey.
Mhm.
So only 13% of people who go to work actually do work. Tell me, is this not an integrity issue? Is this not an integrity issue? That means wages without work amounts to stealing. And you tell me you can do all the courses, programs, curriculums, and you can do all teaching you want. How does it work, man? It doesn't. So eventually, Himanshu, it comes back to the basics. You see, look, I've written some 10 of the character building books, and I said, why did we need those books, 10 books? Justification for character building. You see, one is a very important thing, Himanshu, and that is that, you see, all of us have made mistakes in the past. I have made it. And making a mistake is not the end of the world, but realizing and repeating is the end of the world.
True.
But here is the important thing: the difference is when we made a mistake earlier, we used to have a remorse. We used to feel bad because we made a mistake. But you know something? Today, when people make a mistake, they don't feel bad because they made a mistake. They feel bad, why did I get caught? This is called degradation. Now, we must understand that none of us is 24 karat pure. I'm not 24 karat pure. But would you agree with me? There's a huge difference between 22 carat and 8 carat. There is a big difference. And same thing, go look at today, the average age, this is true global, the average age of the criminal has gone down. Check the police records everywhere. The average age of the criminal has gone down. Now, is it not degradation? 30, 40 years ago, kids, there was a survey done in US on the principals about 40 years ago, that what are the problems are you facing in schools? And they said kids running in the corridors, leaving the doors open, leaving the lights on. Those are the kind of problems we had. But and today, when they were surveyed again a few years ago, they said, well, today we are facing problems like rape in schools, murders in schools, knives, and all kinds of stuff there. I mean, things have changed. Do you know in schools they're literally like they're cordoned off, they're huge bars there, and they have to pass through the security checks to see if they have weapon in school in US. And wait a minute, sixth graders, seventh graders are given condoms in school. Is this called sex education, or this is promoting bloody well perversion? I mean, what a joke. We need to understand they're actually promoting the wrong stuff.
So don't you feel that the bug lies at the policy making side?
Of course, absolutely. It is the problem lies with our politicians, but politicians are trying to please the public. If public opinion is what they want, they're stupid, in my opinion. No wonder the results are wrong and bad. Because politician only looks at votes. If this kind of policy is going to get votes, he goes ahead with that policy. They only understand one language. They will sell their mother, they will sell their country for power. They have no problem with that. That's the truth with the politicians all over the world. No wonder there is so much of unrest, there is so much of disturbance everywhere, so much of intolerance, there is so much of fight, depression, drugs, breakdown of relationships everywhere. So we need to address the basic. What my point is, unless we look at the cause, how can we address? Just like a doctor has to examine, diagnose, prescribe. Well, examine where is the problem, diagnose what is the problem, and then prescribe what is the solution. So we need to go back and look at our basic stuff. And that's about it. And we need to come back to our basic of values. The moment you deviate off values, I'll share with you one more thing. Since we work in about 25 countries, many times people ask me, Mr. Khera, don't you see cultural differences? And my answer is, I find more similarities than differences all over the world. You see, what I find cultural to me is basically surface issues. Now, they may not end up as surface issues, but to me, they're only surface issues. Example, the thumbs up sign in the Western world is sign of encouragement. Keep going, you're on track. Okay. Thumbs up sign in the Middle East, you showed me a thumb, you insulted me. That's cultural. See, India, we worship the snake and the rat. That is cultural. Now, in China or Singapore. Number four is considered unlucky death. That's cultural. This is cultural, what I look at. Now, but integrity and cheating is given the same meaning in New York, New Zealand, and New Delhi. No difference. No difference at all. Emotional appeals are totally identical everywhere in the world. Haven't seen any difference. So we need to come back to universal eternal values. That is what we are talking of. And it is clear. It's not difficult.
No, I agree with you completely on the universal eternal values. But one thing that I have realized is that we as a society are juggling between a lot of things. The times are changing, and so does our economies. And with this change, we are opening doors for many unseen and unknown career opportunities that we may not have today.
Correct?
And when we know that tomorrow our pupil may venture into an unknown career stream, then as educators, what should we do today to make sure that our pupil will have complete control of their lives and will keep their values and ethics at the forefront?
Okay. Well, let me address that because I've written an article which I'm sending to New York Times publication right now. You see, with the speed of change, products are getting obsolete the day they're getting launched, and knowledge is getting obsolete within 2 to 3 years. Go check out engineering graduates. By the time they get to the fourth year, what they learned the first year became obsolete. Check out medical graduates. By the time they get to the fourth and the fifth year, what they learned the first year became obsolete. Now, Mercedes, a client of mine, one of the senior executives, wrote an article which said, going to the future, our competitors will not be automobile manufacturers, they will be Googles and Amazons.
Absolutely.
Now, did we ever think of flying taxis? Did we ever think of driverless cars, virtual doctors, and so many things? We never thought of these things. And what is to come, we don't even know what's coming. Therefore, now with this kind of a scenario, either we have a great opportunity for those who are prepared, or we are in deep trouble. Now, when we say we have a great opportunity for those who are prepared, prepared for what? How do you prepare for the unknown? Now, it has become a cliche, the only constant is change. Now, when I wrote this article, I started thinking, is there anything other than change that is constant? Anything else that is constant? And really, I came down with an answer that yes, there are some other things that are constant. Now, if there are other things that are constant, then let us master the constants because they are not going to change. Our parents, their parents, their parents, they have never changed, they will never change. You master the constant no matter what happens tomorrow. You are prepared. And what are the things that we need to inculcate, which are never going to change? And I wrote in, going into the future, the only people who will succeed in life are those who master three skills that are constant. One, people skills. Two, persuasion skills. Three, prioritizing skills. Three skills. People skills, persuasion skills, prioritizing skills. Now, why do I say people skills? Go check out all over the world. We don't have business problems, we have people problems. And when we take care of our people problems, most of our business problems are automatically resolved anywhere in the world. One. Two, you check with people all over the world. What are the biggest challenges you are facing in your company with your people? You know what the answer is? In our organization, our biggest challenge is trust and accountability. Two things, trust and accountability, are missing today. Okay. Three, all over the world, we are hired for our skills, but we are fired for our behavior. Yes, no. Anywhere. And when we talk of not only hired for our skills and not only as an employer employee, but also as a vendor, as a consultant, we are hired for our skills, but we are fired for our behavior. And third, you check out the lower a person is in life, 90% of the time goes in technical skills, less than 10% people skills. And higher you go up in life, guess what happens? It just reverses. Technology and technicians you can always buy with money, but the wealthiest person in the world must build and create relationships. So I don't care what technology is coming. I don't care what skills are what is coming later. We don't even know what's coming. But if you got these three skills under your belt, you're laughing no matter what happens. It doesn't matter. So really, when you said, what do we prepare for the unknown? This is what I would say: prepare for the unknown. Rest you can buy anytime. And I can go on. I just talked of people skills. I mean, I can explain persuasion skills too. I mean, in 2 lines. See, what is persuasion, Himannshu? Persuasion is ability to influence, ability to convince, ability to negotiate, ability to sell. That's called persuasion. Influence ability, negotiation ability, convincing ability, selling ability, called persuasion. Now, there are people who are, in my opinion, totally ignorant, nuts. They're saying, I'm into IT, I'm into finance, I'm into admin. I don't need persuasion because I don't have those dealings. They are basically showing their total ignorance. Who's not selling? Candidate at a job interview, what's he doing? Selling, for which he needs what? Persuasion skills. A boy girl proposing to get married, what are they doing? Persuading each other to get married. Politician giving speeches to get votes, what's he doing? Selling, for which he needs what? Persuasion skills. You see, that's my new book, which I came a couple of years ago, You Can Sell. And the subtitle to that book is, In Life, Results Are Rewarded, Efforts Are Not. Which means what? I repeat, in life, results are rewarded, efforts are not. Which means we judge ourselves by our intentions, but the world judges us by our actions.
True.
So we need to understand that. We don't need a PhD to understand this. We don't need an MBA to understand this. So, which show me which university. I mean, you're associated with so many. Who's teaching all this stuff? Nobody. And I could go on and find this prioritizing skills. You see, and when we see, look at this, the amount of time-saving devices we have today, we've never had that many in history, and yet we don't have what? Time. You know why? Because somewhere we messed up our priorities. And I'm guilty myself too. And when we mess up our priorities, see, we forget to distinguish between what's urgent and what's important. Urgent may not be important, and important may not be urgent. But the interesting thing is, whenever we ignore what is important, it always converts into urgent. Look at this. Health is important, but not urgent. Exercising every day is important, but not urgent. Now, if I have a crucial meeting tonight, I cannot exercise, it's not the end of the world. But if I ignore my health long enough, guess what happens? I'll land up in the hospital. Same thing. You ignore what is important, converts into urgent. In life, relationships are important, but they're not urgent. Now, if you ignore relationship long enough, guess what happens? You start talking through your lawyers. You ignore what is important, always converts into urgent. And that is where we need to come back to look at our priorities. And you master these three things. Hey, buddy, you're laughing for the rest of your life. Who knows what? Do you see what I'm saying, Himannshu?
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more on this. These are some basic attributes that any individual should have.
Yes, sir. And sadly, 90% people don't have, maybe more than that.
You know, I would go with
They don't.
99%.
In fact, I would go with 9%. There are many studies, including NASCOM, and that they said more than 90% people are unemployable. They're not employable. They have a piece of paper called whatever the degree is, and they think they know everything. They don't understand anything. And since they have a piece of paper of a degree, they think that is passport to success. And the expectations are so high, they all want to start as CEOs.
This is something I completely relate with. And whenever I go to conferences and summits, I always say that the problem is not with unemployment. It is rather with unemployability. And we should address unemployability rather than focusing on unemployment.
Yes, absolutely. That is true. Very true.
And with this, it's time to say goodbye to you, Shiv. It was indeed a great pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, sir. I'm grateful to you.
I hope that you all have enjoyed listening to this conversation with Shiv Khera. If you have liked this conversation, then do rate us on Apple Podcasts and share it in your network. And we will meet again in the next episode with another amazing guest. Thank you for listening to The TEDS Show. You can now listen to the same podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts, or you can watch it live on YouTube. And I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, stay safe and stay happy.